It's the smell of coffee that gets me, every single time. That burnt, slightly sweet smell of a fresh latte, and just like that, I'm right back there. Standing in the queue at that little cafe by the bus station, watching the barista, totally oblivious to the clock ticking on the wall, ticking away the last moments of my best friend's life. 5 minutes, that's all it was. The price of a large latte with an extra shot of espresso. 5 minutes was the difference between me being here, typing this out until my fingers are numb, and being, well, being with Isabel on the 7:15 Express. The one that never made it out of the tunnel. My brain just plays it on a loop, you know, the little chime as the cafe door opened, the way I fumbled in my purse for exact change. The split-second decision where I thought, yeah, I've got time, she can grab us a seat. I didn't have time, she didn't have time, and now she's gone and I'm here, drowning in the ghost of a coffee I barely even tasted. God, I can almost hear her teasing me, that little eye roll she did, the corner of her mouth twitching. You and your caffeine addiction, she'd say. I keep picturing her on the bus, saving me the window seat, probably scrolling through her phone and wondering where the hell I was. The last thing I really, truly remember is her keychain. It was this hideous, bright green plastic frog she'd won at some stupid summer fair. Its googly eyes were painted on crooked, and it had this ridiculous, wide-mouthed grin. She loved that thing, said it was her lucky charm. She was dangling it from her finger right before we split up at the corner. See you on the bus, she said, and the stupid frog swung back and forth. That was it, some lucky charm. It's a special kind of hell knowing you chose a fucking beverage over your friend. 5 minutes. It all comes down to 5 stupid minutes. In the weeks that followed, the world kind of fractured. Everything felt thin, like a cheap movie set, and I was an actor who'd forgotten all their lines. I went through the motions, the funeral, where I couldn't cry, the endless condolences from people who didn't really know her, the awful task of helping her parents pack up her desk at work. It was all a blur of muted colors and muffled sounds. My own life felt offensive. How dare the sun keep rising? How dare people laugh in the street? I was living in a bubble of numbness, and the only thing that felt real was the constant, grinding guilt. But then the frogs started appearing. At first, I was sure I was just losing my mind. Grief does that to you, right? It rewires your brain, makes you see patterns where there are none. The first one was about a week after the accident. I was forcing myself to walk past the bus station, some kind of self-flagellation, I guess. My eyes were drawn to a grimy alleyway, and there it was. A piece of graffiti, spray-painted in a shockingly vibrant green against the dirty brick. A frog with crooked, googly eyes and a stupidly wide grin. It was so specific, so exactly like her keychain that the air got punched out of my lungs. I felt dizzy, leaning against the opposite wall, my breath coming in ragged gasps. It had to be a coincidence, a sick, twisted, meaningless coincidence. I told myself that all the way home, repeating it like a mantra, but then it happened again. A few days later, I was in a different coffee shop across town. I couldn't go back to the old one, just staring into a cup I had no intention of drinking. My eyes drifted to the window sill, and nestled behind a dusty potted plant was a little plastic toy. A green frog, same one, same stupid grin. It looked like a kid had left it there. My hand twitched, wanting to reach for it, but I was paralyzed. A cold sweat broke out on my neck. This felt different. It felt placed. I fled the cafe, leaving a full cup behind, my heart hammering against my ribs. That night I couldn't sleep. I just lay in bed, the two images burning behind my eyelids, the painted frog, the plastic frog. Was this a message, or was I cracking up? The third time broke me. I was on my way to the grocery store, my head down, trying to be invisible, when a little girl, maybe 5 or 6, ran past me, her laughter echoing. Her pink backpack was bouncing, and hanging from the zipper, swinging back and forth with a life of its own, was the keychain, the exact one. The cheap, shiny plastic, the ridiculous eyes, everything. I actually stumbled, catching myself on a lamppost as the world tilted on its axis. It wasn't a coincidence. It couldn't be 3 times. No, this was a sequence. This was a language. In that moment, standing on a busy sidewalk, my grief morphed again. It wasn't just sadness anymore. It was a frantic, desperate hope that felt like electricity in my veins. This wasn't random, it was a sign. Isabel was trying to tell me something. Maybe she was okay, or maybe, just maybe, she was telling me it wasn't my fault. That thought became my new religion, my reason to get out of bed in the morning. I wasn't just mourning anymore, I was searching. I had to figure out what the frogs meant. It was the only thing that stopped the guilt from eating me alive. I'm sorry, I don't know where else to post this, and my head is a complete mess. I feel like I'm walking through someone else's life. Has anyone ever experienced something like this after losing someone? I lost my best friend Isabel 3 weeks ago in that big tunnel crash. The 7:15 Express. I was supposed to be on that bus with her. We were going to look at an apartment together. I was literally seconds away, but I stopped for coffee like an idiot. And now I'm seeing things. It's these little green frogs. They look exactly like this stupid Lucky Charm keychain she carried everywhere. She won it at a fair and was ridiculously attached to it. The first time it was a painting on a wall near the crash site, then a toy left in a cafe window. Today, a little girl ran past me with the exact same keychain on her backpack. It's too specific to be a coincidence, right? It can't be. I feel like she's trying to tell me something, but I don't know what. Is she okay? Is she trying to tell me it's not my fault? Or am I just completely losing it? The guilt is so heavy I can barely breathe sometimes, and these frogs are the only thing that feels real, like a connection. Am I going crazy? Please just tell me I'm not crazy. I just need to know if this means something. The comments on my post were a mixed bag. A lot of kind strangers offered condolences, sharing their own stories of grief and strange coincidences. When my dad passed, I saw cardinals everywhere, one wrote. It's just your brain trying to find him. Others were more mystical, talking about signs and spiritual connections. But it was one short, blunt comment that really burrowed into my mind. Don't ignore your gut. Maybe it's not a ghost, but it's definitely not nothing. That one stuck with me. It felt like permission. Permission to not be crazy, but to be a detective in the mystery of my own grief. Passive observation wasn't enough anymore. The frogs were a trail of breadcrumbs, and I couldn't just stand there staring at them. I had to follow. I needed a tangible link to Isabel, something more than my own fractured memories. That's what led me to Anya, her roommate. I hadn't spoken to her much since the funeral, just a few stilted, awkward texts checking in. She was the only other person who lived inside Isabel's world every day. If anyone knew anything, it would be her. I came up with a flimsy excuse that I'd left a favorite book, a worn-out copy of a poetry collection, at their apartment months ago and was hoping to get it back. It was a total lie, but she agreed without question, her voice sounding tired and hollow over the phone. Walking up the 3 flights of stairs to their apartment was like walking through wet cement. My feet felt so heavy. Every scuff on the wall, every creak of the floorboards was a memory. The time we drunkenly tried to carry a new bookshelf up these stairs, the night we sat on this exact landing, eating pizza out of the box because we were both locked out. When Anya opened the door, the grief hit me like a physical blow. The apartment smelled like Isabel. Not just her perfume, but her whole life, the faint scent of her citrus shampoo from the bathroom, the patchouli incense she used to burn, the earthy smell of her overwatered plants. It was all still there, a ghost in the air. Anya looked drained, like all the color had been washed out of her, leaving only shades of gray. We made small talk, the kind of painful, empty chatter you have when the elephant in the room is the size of a collapsed tunnel. I pretended to look for my non-existent book on the shelves, my eyes scanning the living room, searching for I don't know what, a clue, another frog, anything. Her room was exactly as she'd left it, a controlled chaos of clothes and books that felt so alive it hurt. We ended up in the kitchen, a cup of chamomile tea steaming between my trembling hands. I knew I couldn't just ask her outright about the frogs, I'd sound like a lunatic. I had to ease into it. I started talking about the summer fair where Isabel won the keychain, trying to make it sound like a fond, random memory. God, she was so proud of that stupid frog, I said, forcing a small, watery laugh that sounded more like a choke. Carried it everywhere. Her little lucky charm. I watched Anya's face carefully over the rim of my mug, my heart pounding a frantic rhythm against my ribs. I was hoping she'd smile, maybe share a similar story, something that would confirm its special significance. Something that would tell me I wasn't just grasping at straws. I needed her to validate my hope, to tell me that the frog really did mean something more. I watched Anya's face, waiting for that flicker of shared bittersweet memory, a small smile, a sad nod, anything. But the reaction I got was wrong, utterly wrong. As soon as the words "lucky charm" left my mouth, the exhaustion on her face didn't just deepen, it curdled into something else. Something that looked a lot like fear. She put her mug down with a sharp clink. "Lucky charm," she repeated, her voice barely a whisper. "Is that what she told you it was?" The atmosphere in the kitchen shifted instantly. The warm, grief-filled air turned cold and sharp. "Yeah," I said, my own voice faltering. "I mean, that's what it was, right from the fair." Anya shook her head, a slow, deliberate movement. She wouldn't meet my eyes. She was staring at a crack in her teacup as if it held the secrets of the universe. "No," she said, her voice tight. "That's not where she got it. Owen gave it to her." Owen, the name landed like a stone in my gut. Isabel's on-again, off-again boyfriend. I'd never liked him. He had a way of looking at her that felt less like love and more like ownership. He was intense, possessive, and I know for a fact she'd been trying to end things with him for good in the weeks before. Owen gave it to her. I was confused. Why would she lie about that? That's when Anya finally looked up at me, and her eyes were dark with a misery I didn't understand, because she hated it. She was terrified of it. She took a shaky breath. A few weeks ago, she dropped it and the back popped off. It wasn't just a piece of plastic, Amelia. There was a little circuit board inside, a blinking light. It was a GPS tracker. The world tilted. The sounds of the street outside faded into a dull roar, a tracker. The stupid, googly-eyed frog wasn't a sign from the universe, it was a leash. She wanted to throw it away, Anya continued, her voice gaining a frantic edge, but she was too scared. She knew he'd notice it was gone. He was always asking about it, making jokes about her lucky frog. It was his way of checking, so she kept it with her. She said it was better to know the devil you can see. My mind reeled trying to process this. The graffiti, the toy in the window, the keychain on the little girl's backpack. They weren't messages from Isabel. They were what? Reminders of him. My beautiful spiritual theory was dissolving into something ugly and sordid. The hope that had been keeping me afloat was gone, replaced by a churning, sick dread. The frogs didn't mean she was safe. They meant she had never been safe at all. Update, oh God. I don't even know how to type this. I just spoke to her roommate, Anya, about the frogs. I was so wrong. I was so wrong about everything. It wasn't a sign from Miss Abel. It wasn't her, it was him. It was always him. I feel like I'm going to be sick. I have to go. My head is spinning. It's so much worse than I ever could have imagined, I have to think. I just stared at Anya, my brain feeling like a dial-up modem trying to load a high-definition video. The pieces were there, but they were pixelated and slow, refusing to form a coherent picture. So the graffiti, I stammered, the other frogs I saw. Anya's face crumpled. Owen's a street artist, she said, her voice cracking. Or he thinks he is. That frog is his tag, his signature. He sprays it everywhere. He was probably plastering it all over the neighborhood, marking his territory, making sure she knew he was watching. The toy in the coffee shop window. The keychain on the backpack. My mind raced, connecting the dots with a horrifying speed. He has a nephew, Anya whispered as if reading my thoughts. A little boy. Owen dotes on him, buys him stupid little toys all the time. Every sign from the universe, every mystical breadcrumb I had clung to, was just the mundane, pathetic debris of a toxic man's obsession. The cosmic whispers were just Owen's ugly shouts. There was no magic, there was just a monster. My carefully constructed reality, the one where Isabel's death had some kind of profound, hidden meaning, shattered into a million pieces. But the final blow, the one that broke me completely, was yet to come. That morning, Anya said, tears now streaming freely down her face, the morning of the accident, she wasn't supposed to be on that bus. I know, I choked out. She was supposed to be in her car, we were going to drive. Her car wouldn't start, Anya said, her gaze fixed on something far away. She called me from the lobby, frantic. Said the brakes felt weird the night before, and now the engine was completely dead. She was terrified she was going to be late to meet you. She decided to take the express bus at the last minute because it was the fastest way to get downtown. Anya took a deep, shuddering breath before delivering the final, devastating sentence. The police found out later Owen had been at our apartment building the night before. There's security footage of him in the parking garage. He cut her brake lines, Amelia. He was trying to make it look like an accident, a small one, a fender bender, something to scare her, to make her come running back to him for protection. The irony was so vast, so cruel, it was suffocating. I felt a hysterical laugh bubble up in my throat, but it came out as a strangled sob. Owen's pathetic, controlling plan to cause a minor car accident had failed. Isabel, in a desperate attempt to escape him and get to me, had made a last-minute decision to take the bus. And the universe, in its infinite, blind, and stupid chaos, had thrown a random, unrelated, fatal bus crash into her path. He didn't kill her, not directly, but he had aimed a toy gun at her, and a real meteor had fallen out of the sky and crushed her. My 5 minutes for a coffee hadn't been the deciding factor. It wasn't my fault, it wasn't Owen's grand plan, it was just a joke, a horrible, meaningless cosmic joke, and Isabel was the punchline, the guilt is gone. I thought that would feel like a relief, like a weight lifted off my chest. It doesn't, it's so much worse. The space where the guilt used to be is just empty, a hollow, echoing void. It's the kind of silence you get after a bomb goes off. There's nothing left. No signs, no fate, no cosmic connection. Just a string of stupid, unrelated events that happen to collide in the most horrific way possible. Owen was arrested. His whole pathetic plan came out. He confessed to tampering with the car, but he'll never be charged with her murder. He didn't cause the tunnel to collapse. He's just a petty criminal whose grand, evil scheme was upstaged by a bigger, dumber tragedy. There's no justice in that. It's just absurd. Final update. Thank you to everyone who commented and shared their stories, especially the person who told me to trust my gut. You were right, it wasn't nothing, it just wasn't what I thought it was. I'm not looking for frogs anymore, I'm not looking for anything. The search for meaning is over because there isn't any. I feel free, it's a terrifying kind of freedom. This morning, for the first time in months, I walked past that cafe. The smell of coffee billowed out the door as someone walked in. That rich, burnt, sweet smell. I waited for the usual wave of nausea, the gut punch of grief, but nothing came. I felt absolutely nothing at all.